200,000. That's more than the population of the vast majority of U.S. cities. 200,000. That's the number of foreign nationals who'll be waking up tomorrow to find out that their American visa is gone, wiped out, canceled directly from the State Department itself. Gang, buckle up, because what you're about to hear is the single largest visa revocation operation in the history of the United States of America. And it's happening right now, brought to you by the one and only Donald J. Trump. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, celebrating yet another glorious day in the Trumpian golden age that you made possible back in November of 2024. So if you want a front row seat on how you continue to change the country and indeed the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. The Trump administration has done it again. They are changing the nation like never before. The Associated Press originally broke the story, and it's turned into nothing short of a political bombshell. The State Department is preparing to revoke B1 and B2 visas. Those are business and tourism visas issued to as many as 200,000 foreigners between the years 2016 and 2026. Now, who, you may ask, is exactly in the crosshairs here? Well, it's people who came here for a, quote, short visit. And then once they landed on American soil, suddenly they discovered they wanted to stay forever. And so they turned around and they filed for asylum. Okay, now you heard that? I mean, they told our government when they entered in, I'm just here for 2 weeks. That's it. And then the moment their feet touched U.S. soil, their story changed. Suddenly it's, I can't go back. I need asylum. Again, it's one thing to have entered the country as an asylum seeker. Okay, these are people who entered the country on false pretenses as temporary visitors who then turned around and filed for asylum. So this is all part of an immigration scam that the Biden administration fully encouraged, fully embraced. It's a practice that many Americans weren't even aware of. But once they are, they overwhelmingly want it stopped. And that is exactly what President Trump is doing. State Department spokesman Tommy Pigott confirmed the plan directly to Forbes, saying officials intend to revoke the non-immigrant visas of foreigners who came to the U.S. claiming to be short-term visitors, but then who turned around and filed for asylum to stay permanently. That is now the official position of the United States State Department. This move rips away the loophole that let people use tourism as a backdoor into permanent asylum limbo. Now, this isn't the first time President Trump has done this. In fact, it's taking what he's already done and more or less putting it on steroids. Since President Trump took office for a second term, the State Department has already revoked an unprecedented 175,000 visas. And according to State Department officials, those visas belong primarily to people accused of actual crimes. So the Trump administration is applying here the same deportation strategy that they've been using with forced deportations at the hands of ICE. Focus on the illegal alien criminals, those who have been arrested or convicted of crimes. Get them out first. There's nearly 100% support for that. And then you can begin the process of getting rid of the rest. And that's exactly what they're now doing with this visa revocation, with this new wave of up to 200,000 more visa holders. So we're talking about more than doubling the total number of visa revocations just 2 years, not even 2 years, into a single presidential term. That's not an incremental policy, right? That's a seismic, shocking shift in how America handles the people who come through its front door. According to reports, the plan involves running a sweeping cross-check. So that would involve matching visa records against asylum applications to root out what they believe is bogus claims taking advantage of our immigration system. And now we're getting word that it's not just revocations. The entire system is getting an overhaul. At the very same time that this revocation news broke, the Trump administration also hit the pause button on visa appointments worldwide. Every embassy, every consulate. Just the News reported that U.S. diplomatic posts around the globe were directed to reschedule immigrant visa interviews while consular officers complete brand new training on something called public charge guidance. Now, what precisely is public charge guidance? Very simple. It's the government's way of determining if a person, a visa applicant, is likely to become a dependent on our welfare system. Is this a person who's going to start collecting food stamps? Is this a person who's going to start living on housing assistance? The stuff hardworking American taxpayers fund, right? Is this person going to be a welfare recipient when they get here? Now, you would have thought that such a screening process was already in place. As it turns out, no, it wasn't. Democrats had basically created a system that actually encouraged welfare dependents to come to the country. Again, what's so key to get here is those days are over. In fact, the Trump administration has explicitly embraced what is technically called welfare chauvinism. It's where public benefits are reserved solely for qualified American citizens in need. No one who is a non-citizen should be living off the American taxpayer, full stop. It's something we're already seeing more and more of in Europe. Even among leftist parties like Die Linke in Germany, they are welfare chauvinists. They believe that only citizens, German citizens in that case, should be allowed to partake of social services. If you're an immigrant, nope, you don't get it. You go back to your own country if you want social services. And now we're seeing comparable welfare chauvinist sentiments here on our shores as well. And it's a much needed response, frankly, to what's widely acknowledged as the insane rate of migrant households on welfare in our country, which is precisely the economic impulse that's a very real driving force behind this visa pause. But as we pull back the curtain here, you're about to see an even more comprehensive operation that is literally changing the nation by the day, if not the hour. And I think you'll all agree this is exactly what we all voted for. But first, do you ever wonder how people like Nancy Pelosi seem to know exactly when to buy certain stocks, right? How politicians seem to have secret knowledge of what's going to do well in the market? Well, it's all insider trading. Pelosi and her cronies have been getting away with it for years. But guess what? You and I actually have access to that very same inside information. Thanks to a little SEC loophole, we can track what these big corporate CEOs are buying up in real time, and then we could just ride their coattails into financial success legally and ethically. Once you learn the secret of the trade you're in. Now, to do that, you got to join me along with my good friend and trading expert, Ross Givens, this Thursday, August 27th at 3 p.m. Eastern. Ross is the real deal. His insider tips have led to returns of over 200%. Some have hit as nearly high as 1,500%. It's going to be absolutely huge, but seats are limited. Click the link below. Snag one of those remaining online seats. This is going to absolutely change your life, gang. You can't afford to miss it. This unprecedented visa revocation didn't come out of nowhere. This is the latest chapter in a border security agenda that's been building since day one of President Trump's second term. Do you remember when the appointment scheduling feature on the Customs and Border Patrol app got pulled almost immediately after inauguration? You remember that? It was a feature that the Biden administration came up with to basically make it easier to cross the border. Right? Illegal migrants were able to schedule an appointment time to present themselves for asylum processing through this app on their freaking smartphones, okay? When that feature was canceled by the Trump administration, that single move canceled en masse a wave of pending asylum appointments literally overnight. Then the kill shot came in. Then came the national emergency declaration at the southern border. And that move alone unlocked the ability to deploy active duty troops and redirect military funding straight into wall construction and mass forced deportation. And the results speak for themselves. The Department of Homeland Security reported more than 675,000 forced deportations last year alone, plus an estimated 2.2 million self-deportations, people choosing to leave on their own rather than face the hammer coming down. All told, over 3 million deportations in a single year of this administration. That's not a policy footnote. That is proof that deterrence strategy is working exactly as intended. Now, of course, the lawsuits are already starting to fly over this. The resistance, I like to call it the futile resistance, but the resistance is mobilizing. They'll be judge shopping to find one of their reliable left-wing activists disguised as a jurist to impose a nationwide injunction against this order, even though the Supreme Court has already ruled that is unconstitutional. But it's all for naught. Again, the Supreme Court has conclusively ruled that the executive branch of government has every right to enforce immigration policy as it sees fit. And no court or left-wing activist judge can stop him from doing just that. So here's the bottom line, and it's frankly simple. This is about restoring the basic common sense principle that a visa is a promise. So when someone tells our government, I'm coming for 2 weeks of vacation, or I'm here for a business meeting, and then the moment they land, as it were, they flip the script and they demand permanent asylum, and they're here for years upon years upon years, that's not a loophole. That's a broken promise to the American people. Secretary Marco Rubio and the State Department are finally treating it like the abuse that it is. And when you combine that with the public services crackdown, making sure that people who do come here aren't immediately signing up for welfare on the taxpayer's dime, you're looking at the most aggressive, most comprehensive immigration enforcement push this country has seen in generations. That's what we and tens of millions of Americans voted for. We voted for the restoration of the sovereignty of our nation and the integrity of our borders. And for the first time in a long time, we have an administration willing to actually do just that. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below. I want to hear what you have to say. You're the ones changing the world. And as always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button for breaking news and analysis. You're not going to get anywhere else. Love you guys. God bless.